Okay, this week's review is of the 1757 Golf Club in Sterling, Virginia. This course is just west of Route 28, just north of Route 7 in Sterling. It is in the heart of Sterling, not far from Algonquin, maybe 5 miles from Brambleton. Right along the Route 7 high traffic density corridor. It's easy to get to if you're in the area, and certainly there's plenty of nice shopping malls and so forth in the area. But the one thing about this course is it has the same problem that Algonquin has, which is that it is almost board flat, although it doesn't have nearly the tree density that Algonquin has, and it has far more water. It has water on just about every hole. Just about every shot you play will be with water in play. And it's a much more interesting course for that reason. Certainly it's a big hitter's course in a sense, but it's only 600 yards from the back tees. And the slope is 142, I think, because they make the most out of all this water. They do everything they can to give you the hardest tee shot possible on this course, especially from the back tees. And they do a fair job of putting the greens and tees, the pins close to the water, but not quite on the water. There's not too many holes here where you're going to literally be, standing with 1 foot in the lake while you putt, but it's pretty close. It's not the easiest course at all, not at all, but it's not the world's hardest course that I've played, certainly. But it's pretty close. I'd say this is undoubtedly a much harder course than Brambleton and Algonquin. It's not quite as long as Algonquin, but it's certainly more interesting and more of a challenge. And especially when we played today, it was windy, and for the first maybe 6 or 7 holes until about 6:30. I only had about 2.5 hours to play today, and so I raced around the back side. But this was one of the few courses that I played where the front side was noticeably tougher than the back. Or I could say I was used to it by the time I got to the back, and also it was darker and I couldn't quite see as much. But I think it was more literally that the front was harder, because certainly there were some shots that were just, tough shots requiring pinpoint, if not pinpoint, but certainly good directional control. And it was a solid challenge from right off the first tee. Absolutely no question about it. From the first tee, you're hitting on the back tees. You're playing 220 to get to the fairway over a lake between 2 rows of trees, and then you have 200 yards to the green, and the first green and the 8th green are separated by a creek that goes between them, and there's just like a 45-degree drop behind the green. This is not a course where you want to be hitting long off the back of the green, except for a couple of holes maybe you'd be saved in that case. But almost always on the holes there is severe trouble either on one side or on the back side, let's say. So it's not the kind of course you really want to be missing greens by a lot. And there's a couple of holes where you're literally hitting to a strip of land between 2 lakes, not one lake, but 2 lakes. It is definitely a challenge of a golf course, while at the same time it has some of the same problems that Goose Creek does, which is right up the street. Route 7 runs right past this course, and certainly the 10th tee and the 17th green or right under Route 7, you look up and there's traffic whizzing by you. There's air traffic coming from Dulles, although the plains these days are a lot quieter than they used to be. It used to be if they passed you, they'd be roaring and making all this noise. Now they're really pretty quiet, and it's kind of neat to watch them drift by overhead, almost like zeppelins, but not noisy at all. No small plane noise, not any chopper noise. It was kind of cool. The big thing was the road noise was really kind of oppressive on a few holes, but and then there's another road. I think the Loudoun County Parkway runs along even the front side on like number 5 and number 6 runs along there, and then you've got the W&OD path that runs past a couple of the holes. So this course definitely has some distractions in terms of traffic passing by the course, but I think a good course. I think it's an interesting course to play. I certainly can recommend it. I definitely think it's one of those courses I'd like to go back and play again, and it is in no form a pushover if you play from the at least the blue tees. The black tees are a definite challenge. I don't think the white tees are really that much of a challenge in this course. I think it shortens the course up too much, but if you're going to try to shoot par and it's a par 70 course, certainly the white tees would definitely be a good challenge. This is not an easy course at all. It's a good solid challenge. The only thing I can really strike it for is it doesn't have any verticality. Everything that you have in terms of a tough shot is either carry or playing next to a lake, which is an abundant challenge, but it is still nice to have some verticality in a course, and this course just doesn't really have it. I think it's the kind of course I probably not want to play more than a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, but certainly for an outing, if you're in the area, it's, especially since I got on it for $35 with a cart, probably after 4 on a weekday, maybe something like that, 2 or 4 on a weekday. I thought it'd be much more expensive. It was not. On the weekends, it's about $70 with a cart, but I got a good deal. Can't complain about it at all. And they have a nice driving range, really nice clubhouse, nice restaurant and dining area inside. It was a really nice place, and it has a lot of the features that much more expensive clubhouses have without being overly obnoxious in terms of the stuffiness or in terms of the price. And I definitely can say that this course is I would say a good B+ course. It's not really good enough to be much better than a B+, but it's certainly good enough to be at least a B, and honestly, it is a decent B+ course. I would give it like a shade less than a B+, but still a B+. So I think that's pretty much all that really can be said about it. It has a certain degree of panache that a lot of other area courses do not have, while again it is somewhat one-dimensional in the sense that you're constantly playing holes around lakes or near lakes, and a lot of the greens are very aggressively sloped behind the green, and that's fine. But you see that same thing over and over and over again. After the 6th or 7th hole, it just loses its bite, let's say. It's a good course to come out and work on your drives and consistency in your irons and stuff, knowing that if you miss shots, there's a good chance your ball's going in the water. Not a lot of woods or waste to worry about in that regard. The water is much more of a factor, but it is open enough that with a reasonable amount of skill and a reasonable amount of care, you can play this course without losing too many balls and have a good time playing it. So, summary, basically, it's a good course, but not the area's greatest course, I would say. Maybe the top 25%, I would say. 1757 Golf Club in Sterling, Virginia.